All right, so we're diving deep today into AI stocks.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and, everyone's talking about AI. It seems like it's just
Yeah,
the thing.
it is the thing. The big
Um,
humor.
And you pointed us to this article in the Motley Fool from just yesterday, April 1st, 2025,
Oh, very timely.
that puts these two kind of huge players, Amazon and Oracle, side by side,
Yeah.
and looks at their AI strategies.
Yes.
And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of dig into this with you
Absolutely.
and figure out, what these companies are doing differently,
Yeah.
and maybe what that means for investors who are interested in this space.
Yeah.
So, the article makes this point right at the top that, AI stocks are hot right now.
Sure.
But,
Yeah, they are.
they kind of come in different forms.
Right.
And I think that's what's so interesting about comparing these two.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with Amazon?
Okay.
I mean, it's
Yeah, let's see
that's
what
the
actually-
everything store, but it's also AWS, this massive cloud services business.
Oh, yeah.
And the article points out that AWS is just like this behemoth.
Absolutely.
Right? They've got over 30% of the global cloud services market,
It's huge.
according to Statista, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, think about it for a second. 30% of all the cloud services happening in the entire world are going through AWS.
Yeah.
And that's bringing in, well over $100 billion in revenue every year for Amazon.
And then you look at Oracle,
Yeah.
and they're, at 3% market share.
Right.
So it's just this completely different scale.
It really, that kind of puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
Totally.
You're talking about an order of magnitude difference between those two.
Yeah, and I guess, the first thing that jumped out at me in the article was that Amazon's not just sitting back and, renting out server space.
Right.
They're actually getting into the hardware side of AI with these chips that they're developing called Trainium.
Yeah.
And I think that's really fascinating.
It is, and it makes a ton of sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
Amazon, they're all about controlling as much of the stack as they can, right?
Right.
So it's natural that they would want to have their own custom chips that are specifically optimized for AI workloads,
Yeah.
especially within AWS.
So can you kind of break down what these chips are actually doing? What's the training and inference part?
Sure. So think of it this way.
Okay.
Training an AI model is kind of like teaching it.
Okay.
You're feeding it massive amounts of data, and the model is learning from that data to make predictions or perform specific tasks.
Got it.
And then inference is when the AI actually uses what it's learned
Okay.
to do something useful. Maybe it's recommending products to you on Amazon.
Right.
Or it's translating languages, or it's helping a self-driving car navigate.
Oh, interesting.
These Trainium chips that Amazon is making are designed to make both the training and inference processes much faster and more efficient.
So what's the advantage for Amazon of having their own chips like that?
Well, one of the big ones is cost.
Okay.
Right now, Amazon relies heavily on companies like NVIDIA for their AI chips.
Yeah.
But if they can make their own chips that are just as good or even better,
Yeah.
then they can potentially save a ton of money in the long run.
And maybe more importantly, have more control over
Exactly.
their future with AI.
Exactly. They're not beholden to someone else's roadmap.
Right.
They can innovate at their own pace.
Yeah.
They can customize the hardware to exactly what they need for their AI ambitions.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then the article goes on to talk about Amazon's investment in Anthropic,
Yes.
which is this.
Another big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So Anthropic is an AI company that's behind this AI assistant called Claude.
Right.
And Amazon just pumped $8 billion into them.
Huge investment.
It is.
And, it makes you think about what Microsoft did with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Right. It feels like Amazon's trying to make a similar move.
Yeah.
Get in early.
Get in early.
On this really promising AI technology.
Yeah, before it becomes
Yeah.
the next
big
thing that everybody's using.
Right.
And so do you think we'll see Claude integrated into Amazon's products and services?
I think it's very likely.
Yeah.
It just makes sense strategically.
Wow.
Amazon's got this massive ecosystem of products and services from e-commerce to cloud computing to entertainment.
Right.
And imagine if they could seamlessly integrate this powerful AI assistant into all of that.
Oh, that'd be
Right.
huge.
I can imagine asking Alexa to use Claude to summarize a meeting for me.
Oh, yeah.
Or to draft an email.
Whoa.
Or to even help me shop for groceries.
Interesting.
The possibilities are really endless.
Yeah. And then the article also touches on something that I thought was really interesting, which is
Yeah.
the AI opportunities within Amazon's e-commerce business. Like they're already so good at that.
They are.
But they're saying that AI could take it to like a whole new level.
Absolutely.
So what are they talking about there?
Well, think about the sheer scale of Amazon's e-commerce operations.
It's mind-boggling.
Right.
Yeah.
They're managing massive inventories. They're
Right.
optimizing shipping routes.
Right. They're personalizing advertising for millions of customers.
Exactly.
And AI could make all of that way more efficient.
Way more efficient.
Yeah, so give me some specific examples. Like, how could AI actually improve those things?
Sure. So let's take inventory management as an example.
Okay.
AI could be used to predict demand for products much more accurately.
Okay.
So that means Amazon can order the right amount of inventory at
Yeah.
a right time,
Wow.
and that reduces waste.
Oh, okay. So less stuff
Exactly.
sitting in warehouses.
Exactly. Less stuff sitting in warehouses, less stuff having to be discounted
Right.
because they overbought.
Right.
And it also helps them avoid stockouts.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So customers are always able to find what they need.
that's a good point.
Another example is shipping.
Okay.
AI can be used to optimize shipping routes in real time,
Okay.
taking into account traffic weather patterns and all sorts of other factors
Wow.
to find the fastest and most cost-effective way to get packages to customers.
So they're saving money on gas and
Exactly.
delivery time.
Exactly. That's huge.
Yeah. And then you've got personalized advertising.
Okay.
AI can analyze your past purchases, your browsing history, even your social media activity
Wow.
to figure out what products you're most likely to be interested in
Yeah.
and then show you ads for those products.
So it's like super targeted.
Super targeted.
That's why.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that makes the advertising more effective,
Yeah.
and it can lead to more sales for Amazon.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so basically AI has the potential to touch almost every aspect of Amazon's e-commerce business
Right.
and make it even more of a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
So it's like they're not even like a pure AI play.
Right.
It's like they're using AI to make everything they already do even better.
Exactly. It's like AI is the secret sauce that they're adding to their already successful recipe.
Yeah, I like that analogy.
It's about enhancing their existing strengths with AI.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Amazon
We have
and their kind of broad approach to AI.
their very broad approach.
Let's shift gears and talk about Oracle.
Okay.
The article kind of highlights this really interesting trend with their stock,
Yeah,
which is that it's been on a tear recently.
it has been.
And they're saying that a lot of that is due to this whole AI revolution.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Oracle stock has been doing incredibly well.
Yeah.
The article mentions it's up 79% over the past 3 years,
Which is crazy.
which is, yes, significantly more than the S&P 500, which is only up 26% over the same period.
So it's really outperforming.
Really outperforming. And a lot of analysts are attributing this to the growing demand for AI data centers.
Oh, interesting.
And Oracle is very well positioned to capitalize on that demand.
Okay, so what's the connection there between Oracle and AI data centers?
Well, to train and run these large AI models, you need massive amounts of computing power.
Okay,
And that computing power comes from data centers.
got it.
And Oracle is one of the leading providers of cloud data centers.
Okay.
So they're essentially providing the infrastructure that's powering the AI boom.
So they're kind of like the picks and shovels of the...
Exactly.
yeah.
The picks and shovels of the AI gold rush.
I like that.
They might not be the ones creating the flashy AI applications themselves,
Right.
but they're providing the essential infrastructure that makes it all possible.
And is that actually showing up in their financial results?
It is.
Okay.
The article mentions that in their most recent quarter, which ended in February, their total revenue was up 6% year over year
Okay.
to $14.1 billion.
And that's not bad,
No, not bad at all.
especially in this economy.
Especially in this economy, right?
Yeah.
And their cloud services revenue, which is where the AI data center business falls,
Right.
grew even faster at 10%.
Wow. So they're definitely seeing the
They're
benefit
definitely seeing the benefits.
of this trend.
Absolutely.
But the article also points out that 10% growth is actually a little bit slower than what they were seeing in 2023
Right.
when they had double-digit growth.
Right.
So what do you make of that?
Well, I think it's important to keep in mind that 2023 was a really exceptional year for a lot of tech companies.
Okay.
Coming out of the pandemic, there was this huge surge in demand for digital services,
Right.
and that drove a lot of growth.
Yeah.
But now that things are starting to normalize a bit,
Right.
it's natural to see growth rates moderate.
Yeah. That makes sense.
However, even though Oracle's growth has slowed a bit, it's still well above their 10-year average of 4%.
Oh, wow.
So they're still growing at a very healthy clip.
Okay, so it's not like they're
Right.
falling off a cliff or anything.
Not at all. It's just
They're just not growing
more of a
at the same breakneck speed.
sustainable pace.
Yeah, a more sustainable pace.
Got it. And the article says that Oracle is still investing heavily in building new data centers.
Oh, yeah.
So they're not letting up
No, they're not.
at all.
They're doubling down. In fact, they're investing billions of dollars in new data center capacity.
And why is that, do you think?
Well, I think they see this as a long-term game.
Okay.
They believe that the demand for AI computing power is only going to continue to grow.
Right.
And they want to be in a position to capture as much of that market share as possible.
Yeah. It's like they're...
And they're not just trying to keep up with the current demand.
Right.
They're trying to get ahead of it.
Yeah, like they're building for the future.
Building for the future, exactly.
Okay, so the bull case for Oracle is essentially that this demand for AI data centers is just going to keep going up and up.
That's the core of it. And that they're going to be one of the main beneficiaries.
Right.
And the article says that that justifies their current price-to-earnings ratio of 34.
Yeah.
Which is pretty high.
It is high.
And also all the capital that they're spending on these new data centers.
Right, because investors are betting that those investments are going to pay off big time in the long run.
Yeah, they're betting on the future of AI.
Exactly.
So to kind of sum up Oracle, it seems like their strategy is very focused.
Very focused.
That's all about data centers.
Data centers, data centers, data centers.
In providing the infrastructure for AI.
Exactly.
And it seems like it's working for them so far.
It does seem to be.
Okay, so we've looked at Amazon, we've looked at Oracle.
We have.
Now for the big question.
Yeah.
Which one is the better investment?
Oh, the million-dollar question.
Right, and the article kind of dances around this a little bit.
It does.
But it seems like they're leaning towards Amazon.
They do seem to be leaning towards Amazon.
So why do you think that is?
Well, I think it comes down to a couple things.
Okay.
First, Amazon is just a much bigger and more diversified company.
Right.
They have their hands in so many different pies.
Yeah.
From e-commerce to cloud computing to entertainment.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Right.
And that gives them more ways to win in the AI space.
Okay, so it's like a less risky bet in a way.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay.
You know, even if one of their AI initiatives doesn't pan out,
Right.
they've got plenty of other irons in the fire.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Second, Amazon has a really strong track record of innovation.
Yeah.
They've consistently been ahead of the curve
They have.
in e-commerce and
Yeah.
cloud computing, and now they're doing the same thing in AI.
Okay, so it's like they've earned the benefit of the doubt at this point.
I think so.
Got it.
You know, they've proven that they can adapt and thrive in new technological landscapes,
Right.
and that gives investors confidence that they can do the same with AI.
Okay, so the author's kind of saying, like, if you had to pick one, go with Amazon.
That seems to be the takeaway.
But they're also saying that it really depends on your individual investment goals and your risk tolerance.
Absolutely.
Right.
Like if you're really bullish on data centers
Yeah.
and you think that that's going to be the big growth driver in AI,
Right.
then Oracle might be a better fit for you.
Yeah.
But if you want a more diversified exposure to AI
Yeah.
and you're comfortable with a little bit more risk,
Okay.
then Amazon might be the way to go.
So it's not like a one-size-fits-all answer.
Not at all.
Okay. That's helpful.
Good.
So to kind of wrap things up,
Yeah.
we've seen how Amazon is taking this really broad approach to AI.
Right.
You know, they've got AWS, they're developing their own chips, they're investing in Anthropic,
Right.
and they're even finding ways to use AI to improve their e-commerce business.
Lots of different angles.
Yeah. And then Oracle is much more focused.
Much more focused.
They're all about the data center.
It picks and shovels.
It picks and shovels.
All of the AI gold rush.
Well, and both of those strategies, you know, seem to be working
Yeah.
for them.
Absolutely.
So I guess the final question for our listeners is, you know, which one resonates more with you?
Right.
What's your vision for the future of AI?
Yeah.
And how do these two companies fit into that vision?
Sure, and how does that align with your own investment goals and risk tolerance?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, those are the key questions to consider.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about.
For sure.
All right. Well, that's our deep dive into Amazon and Oracle as AI stocks.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I always learn something on these deep dives.
Me too.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Anytime.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.